Welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at the link between focus and happiness.
Yeah. This should be fun.
Yeah, so not just like productivity tips and tricks,
Right.
but how like stronger concentration can actually lead to a more fulfilling and joyful life.
Exactly.
And to do that, we are going to be drawing on insights from a podcast episode called The Power of Focus. How concentration fuels happiness.
Nice.
It brings together all these different perspectives and research from people like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote Flow,
Yes.
and Cal Newport.
Of course. Deep work.
Right, and even goes back to ancient wisdom, quotes Marcus Aurelius.
I love it. Blending that ancient wisdom with the modern research.
Yeah, it's a cool blend. And, you know,
Yeah.
I'm always kind of skeptical of like
Yeah.
quick fix self-help promises, but the idea that like focusing better could actually make me happier,
Yeah.
that got my attention.
Yeah. And it's not just some empty promise. You know, the research actually supports this.
Okay.
And the main idea is that when you can really hone in on something,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's finishing a report or just having like a deep conversation with someone,
Yeah,
you naturally feel more productive and
that
fulfilled.
makes sense.
It's like all of your mental energy is just laser focused
Right.
on what really matters.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed like when you're trying to do a million things at once,
Oh, yeah.
you end up feeling so scattered and stressed?
All the time.
Like you're running on a hamster wheel, but not actually getting anywhere.
Totally. And that's where being able to focus comes in.
Okay.
When you're fully immersed in something, you're not distracted by, all those other worries and to-dos.
Right.
You're completely present. And that really allows you to savor the moment and really appreciate
Mhm.
what you're doing.
So it's not just about getting more done.
No.
But it's about enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow comes in. He describes it as this state of total absorption where you literally lose track of time
Okay.
because you're so engrossed in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So think about those times when you're completely lost in a hobby you love.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're painting or coding
Yeah.
or even just having a great conversation.
Yes.
You're so focused and you're enjoying it so much that time just seems to melt away.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like
Yes.
everything else just fades away and you're just completely in the zone.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that Csikszentmihalyi found that people actually report being happiest when they're in this flow state.
Interesting.
It's not just about having fun, though.
Okay.
It's about aligning your skills with a challenge that stretches you just enough.
Okay.
That sense of being fully engaged and using your abilities to their fullest is incredibly rewarding.
It's that sweet spot between being bored and overwhelmed.
Yes, exactly.
Where you're challenged but still confident in your ability to succeed.
Yeah, and that leads us to Cal Newport and his deep work philosophy.
Okay.
He argues that in our world of constant distractions,
Mm-hmm.
deep focused work is becoming increasingly rare, yet it's crucial for both success and happiness.
I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of just being constantly bombarded with notifications and emails,
Totally.
making it nearly impossible to really concentrate on anything meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do we reclaim that focus and achieve this deep work state?
Yeah, that's the question, right?
Well, he really emphasizes the importance of actually scheduling specific times for focused work.
Okay.
Treating them like important appointments.
Okay.
And this isn't just about, blocking off time on your calendar.
Right.
It's about creating a mental space where you can fully disconnect from those distractions and immerse yourself in a challenging task.
So like creating a no interruption zone for your brain.
Exactly. And Newport argues that these deep work sessions are really where the magic happens.
Okay.
That's where you make significant progress, tap into your creativity, and experience that flow state we talked about earlier.
So I'm starting to see the connection here, but why exactly does this focus boost happiness? Is it just about accomplishing more, or is there something deeper going on?
There's definitely a psychological component to it.
Okay.
The podcast goes into how concentration actually reduces mental clutter and that stress of multitasking, leading to greater clarity and a sense of control.
Okay.
So think about it. When you're juggling a million things at once,
Yeah.
your brain is constantly switching gears,
Right.
which is incredibly draining.
Yeah.
But when you're focused, you can channel your mental energy
Right.
more efficiently.
Yeah, it's like clearing out all that mental noise.
Yes.
So you can finally think straight.
Exactly. And that reduction in mental noise not only helps us complete those tasks more efficiently,
Right.
but it allows us to savor our achievements.
Okay.
We actually feel good
I mean,
about
yeah.
what we've accomplished instead of just rushing on to the next thing.
So it's about being present in the moment and appreciating our wins, both big and small.
Exactly. And the more we experience that sense of accomplishment, the more confident and motivated we become, creating this positive feedback loop
Right,
that
right.
fuels even greater focus
Okay.
and ultimately happiness.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with like all this modern research,
Yeah.
the podcast also introduces this really cool quote from Marcus Aurelius.
Nice.
Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul.
Love it.
And it's amazing how relevant that still feels today,
Yeah.
centuries after he wrote it.
Right?
What's fascinating about that quote is that it highlights how inner focus can actually be a haven of peace,
Yes.
especially in our crazy world.
It's a reminder that even amidst the constant noise and distractions of modern life,
Yeah.
we can create that inner space
Right.
where we can find calm and connect with what truly matters.
I love that. It's like he's giving us permission to just unplug from the chaos and reconnect with ourselves.
Exactly.
And this ties in nicely with the practical tips for sharpening our focus,
It does.
which I'm sure we'll get into next.
We will.
Okay, I'm ready to hear them.
All right, let's do it. All right, so ready to unlock those secrets to sharper focus.
Yeah, late on me.
All right, so the podcast talks about setting clear goals as a starting point.
Okay.
If you don't know what you're aiming for,
Yeah,
it's pretty tough to focus your energy effectively.
that makes sense. It's like trying to go on a road trip.
Yeah,
Without a destination in mind, you might enjoy the scenery along the way, but you'll probably end up lost and frustrated.
exactly. Having that clear target, whether it's a daily intention or a long-term goal, it really helps you prioritize your efforts and stay on track.
Okay, so we've got our destination in mind.
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, then comes the inevitable battle with distractions,
Oh, yes.
especially in our, hyper-connected world.
Right.
So the podcast really emphasizes minimizing those distractions,
Okay.
especially those digital ones that have become so ingrained in our lives.
Oh, yeah. I can already feel my anxiety levels rising just thinking about it.
I know it's a struggle for all of us, but the key is to become aware of what pulls you off course
Okay.
and then consciously create boundaries.
Okay.
Maybe it's silencing notifications during certain hours,
Yeah.
designating specific times for checking emails,
Yeah.
or even using apps that block distracting websites.
So it's not about becoming like a digital hermit.
No.
It's more about being intentional with our tech use.
Exactly. And speaking of being intentional, the podcast also highlights the power of mindfulness meditation for strengthening focus.
Mindfulness, that's one of those buzzwords you hear everywhere.
It is.
But I'll admit, I don't really get how it works. Is it just about like sitting on a cushion and chanting Om?
It's a little more than that.
Okay.
Mindfulness meditation is like a workout for your attention muscles.
Okay.
By training yourself to focus on the present moment,
Okay.
like your breath or your senses,
Yeah.
you're actually building that capacity for concentration. And it's not about emptying your mind completely. It's about noticing when your thoughts wander and gently guiding them back to the object of your focus.
So it's more about building mental discipline
Yeah.
than achieving some kind of blissful state of emptiness.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the better you become at recognizing when you're getting distracted
Right.
and redirecting your attention.
Okay.
And guess what? This skill translates directly to other areas of your life,
Okay.
from work tasks to conversations.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So we've got clear goals, we're battling distractions,
Yeah.
we're training our attention muscles with mindfulness. What else can we do?
Well, the podcast also recommends the Pomodoro technique,
Okay.
which you might be familiar with.
I've heard of it.
It's a time management method that involves working in focused bursts,
Okay.
typically 25 minutes, followed by a short break.
Yeah.
So this structured approach can really do wonders for maintaining focus and preventing mental fatigue.
I've heard of it, but I've never actually tried it.
Okay.
Is it really that effective?
It can be incredibly effective, especially for those of us who struggle with staying on task for extended periods.
Okay.
It's like tricking your brain into staying engaged
Right,
because
yeah.
you know a break is coming up soon.
Yeah.
And it also helps break down those larger tasks into manageable chunks
Mm.
so you don't feel overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm sold. I'm adding that to my to-do list.
Yeah.
But speaking of breaks, how important is it to actually step away from work completely?
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Our brains aren't designed to operate at full capacity for hours on end.
Right.
Taking regular breaks, even just a few minutes to stretch, walk around, or simply look away from your screen
Yeah.
can help you return to your work feeling refreshed and refocused.
Okay.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
I like that. So we've covered setting goals, minimizing distractions,
Right.
mindfulness, the Pomodoro technique, and taking breaks.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
One last but crucial point, prioritizing deep work sessions.
Okay.
Remember those dedicated blocks of time we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Where you disconnect from all distractions and fully immerse yourself in a challenging task.
Right.
Those deep work sessions are where the real breakthroughs happen,
Okay.
both in terms of productivity and personal fulfillment.
So we're talking about treating these sessions like a meeting with the CVO ourselves.
Exactly.
No interruptions allowed.
Right. And remember, it's not just about powering through tasks.
Right.
It's about aligning your efforts with what truly matters to you
Yeah.
and finding satisfaction in the process.
Okay.
That's where the magic of deep work lies.
This all ties back to that core idea of focus leading to happiness.
It does?
But I'm still curious, how does focusing on work, even DUP work, actually translate to more joy in our lives?
Yeah, it really is fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. So tell me what's going on in our brains when we manage to focus.
Well, one of the key things is the reduction of mental clutter.
Okay.
When we're constantly bombarded with stimuli and multitasking,
Yeah.
our brains are just in overdrive,
Right.
trying to process everything at once.
Yeah.
And this leads to a state of mental fatigue and stress,
Okay.
which obviously isn't really helpful for happiness.
Right. It's like trying to listen to 5 different songs at the same time.
Exactly. You just end up with this jumbled mess of noise.
Yeah.
But when we focus, we essentially filter out all that extraneous noise
Okay.
and direct our mental energy towards a single point.
Got it.
This allows our brains to operate more efficiently and effectively,
Okay.
leading to greater clarity, a sense of control, and reduced stress levels.
So it's not just about feeling less overwhelmed, but it's about changing the way our brains actually work.
Exactly. And this shift has a huge impact on our emotional well-being.
Okay.
So when we're focused,
Yeah.
our brains release dopamine,
Okay. Familiar with that one.
which is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward.
Right.
So this explains why we often feel that sense of satisfaction and accomplishment when we complete a task or achieve a goal, especially when we've been able to fully concentrate on it.
So it's like our brain is giving us a little pat on the back.
Exactly. A little reward for a job well done.
Okay, cool.
And this dopamine release creates a positive feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we experience that sense of accomplishment and reward,
Yeah.
the more motivated we become to focus
Okay.
and achieve even more.
Makes sense.
So it's a virtuous cycle that can lead to greater productivity, creativity, and overall well-being.
I like that. It's like training our brains to crave focus and those positive feelings that come with it.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that idea of flow.
Okay.
Remember that state of total absorption where we talked about losing track of time
Yeah.
and feeling completely in sync with what we're doing?
Right?
So flow states are often accompanied by a surge of dopamine
Uh-huh.
and other feel-good neurochemicals,
Okay.
creating that sense of euphoria and heightened creativity.
So flow isn't just like a productivity hack.
Right.
It's like a neurological pathway to happiness.
Yeah, you could say that. And the more we cultivate our ability to focus and enter those flow states, the more we access those feel-good chemicals
Okay.
and rewire our brains for greater happiness and fulfillment.
This is awesome. I feel like we're unlocking the secrets to hacking our own happiness
Yeah,
through the power of focus.
I love that. And I think it's important to remember this isn't just about individual happiness.
Okay.
When we're more focused and present,
Yeah.
our relationships benefit as well.
How so?
We become better listeners.
Mhm.
We're more empathetic communicators.
Right.
We're more fully engaged in our interactions with others.
Okay, so focus is not just like a personal superpower.
Yeah,
It's like a relationship enhancer.
absolutely. And imagine the impact this could have on a larger scale.
Okay. Yeah.
If we could cultivate a culture of greater focus and presence,
Mm-hmm.
we could see a ripple effect of positive change in our communities and, the world.
Oh, that's a vision worth striving for.
I think so.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I feel super inspired to prioritize focus in my life.
Good.
But I gotta be honest, it can feel kind of daunting
Yeah.
to put all of this into practice.
Sure.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners
Of course.
who are ready to get started on this focus journey?
So remember that cultivating focus, it's a process. It's not a destination.
Okay.
It's about making small, consistent efforts over time.
Yeah.
So start with one strategy that resonates with you,
Okay.
whether it's setting clear goals, minimizing distractions, or practicing mindfulness.
Gotcha.
Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and don't be afraid to experiment until you find what works best for you.
That's great advice because it's like it reminds us that even small steps can lead to big changes.
Exactly.
And I love the idea of celebrating those wins along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Remember, we're all in this together.
Right.
The more we share our experiences and support each other on this journey,
Yeah.
the more we can create a world where deep, meaningful connections
Mm-hmm.
and fulfilling lives are the norm.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Okay.
We hope you've enjoyed exploring the link between focus and happiness.
Yeah.
And remember, even in our crazy, hyper-connected world,
Right.
it's possible to cultivate that inner peace
Absolutely.
and create a life filled with meaning, purpose, and joy.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy focusing.